problems and then retake the test. So it's not like you get a one-shot deal, and if you fail, you're done. Nope. Right. Work with you on that, right? But I think it's really important that you keep working as we move along, because what we do is we introduce like statement types and how to understand categorical propositions, right? If you're going to get to syllogisms where you're using categorical propositions to relate to one another, and you don't really grasp the idea of what a categorical proposition is, you're going to have trouble with the more complex structure built on the simpler. So really important aspect of the course is persistently being here and being able to get things as we develop them, so that once you get to the testable material, that's really based on all of those preceding steps, seeing how they work. And there's my email address. It's the same as my web page, except we use the @ sign instead of dot. I haven't gone through all of the lectures to update them to match this book, but they should be pretty close. Because logic books are generally the main ones, like the Copy I've used, the Hurley I've used. This is a brand new text for me, but I like it, especially because of the way it merges the symbolic systems into the inductive systems. It's interesting there. And that was always one of the gaps that I felt in logic courses, is that we study the syllogisms, we study the symbolic systems, and then all of a sudden we get to the practical stuff, and wait a minute, how do these things go together? It seemed almost like they did. This book really does a good job in merging them. Let's see how that works. So, the first test, we'll have a review and practice test on July 15th, and we'll do the first exam in the second half of the class. So you should all feel comfortable. So we basically go over a practice copy of the test for the first hour, and then once you're all set, and in fact, whenever you're ready, we can all vote and say, okay, let's take the test. We'll do the test. Remember, if you have difficulty with that, we can work on it and retest. My goal is for everyone to pass with an A. How many folks here would like an A? Okay. It used to be that you weren't allowed to give everybody an A. We had what was called the bell curve, right? Everybody's familiar with that, right? So you just had so many people could get A's, so many people could get B's, but the average was C. That meant practically everybody really was getting a C. And then of course you had some folks with a D, some folks with an F, right? That works. Economic models, by the way, the tails are much fatter, by the way, which is why if you're gambling, that mortgages are going to stay good, and if you're investing in them, et cetera, and the chances of them all going bad at once is not very high. Well, it's actually false, because the tails in economics are much fatter. Just kind of interesting. So don't fall for the bubble. Well, in our educational system, what everyone's been complaining about for the last 50 years practically is that we've done away with excellence, and we've changed it to A, B, C, right? So we've dumbed down our educational system, basically. And that's true, I think. I'm even a product of that, because 50 years ago I was in school, actually. So when they started saying our educational system changed was after World War II. With the GI Bill, suddenly had a flood of people that culturally had never experienced higher education, being able to get college degrees. New colleges were developed all over the country to handle the flood. Most of the people that were hired to teach at those colleges were not really trained to be college professors. So the Ivy League schools essentially remain still the only ones that really delivered that kind of education. And all these new institutions gave something else. They gave degrees, but they weren't really the same education. But the thing is, you can still go and get this, even though our grading system doesn't actually force you to do that. So I'm happy to give everybody an A, because as far as I'm concerned, the main grade that anybody gets in this course is the student survey grade that you give me. If you think about it, if you, like me, and give me an A for teaching the course, then I get to teach the course again, and then my wife gets money. You know how that works, right? You know, and she gets the money, and she's happy, she lets me live there, and I'm happy, right? You know, I've only got maybe like 20, 30 years to go. Almost met goal. So close. If it hadn't been for her, I know years ago I would have been living under a bridge with a grocery cart. It's just. By the way, how many of you are males? Some of you are males. I know who you are, probably. I highly recommend that you find the smartest female that you can, that will marry you and propose. And when you marry them, give them all your money and do what they say. It's really important. Women are smarter. They take care of us. Statistically, you look at the model, males that are married for their whole lifetime they live longer, they're wealthier, they're happier, you know, they get all the bennies. And I'm absolutely convinced it's been that way for me. The only time I had to sleep in the dirt was when the Army made me do it. Well, I know what tree roots are like on your back, no problem. So I highly recommend. The main thing though is that you marry that person and you do what she says and stay married to her. The serial monogamy thing doesn't work for your finances. Not good. Lots of reasons. It won't sound silly, but it's actually good advice. Odd thing though is that for the women who marry and stay married for a long career, they're not as happy as the single women. Because taking care of the male is a lot more effort. But the thing that gets me is like when I know female students that they've been married or they're living together, and then they complain about their male being a certain way. Wait a minute. You're missing the point here. You don't complain about how the male is. You fix it, right? That's the job, right? That's your male now. You've got to make sure that he behaves properly. So it's your job. So you don't complain that he's misbehaving and get rid of him. Now society's infected with this guy. Glad some of you are laughing. It is. Okay. That's just, I'm loaded with fun advice. I'm also addicted to caffeine. Not addicted. So I don't listen to all my